Hello and welcome today to Tabletop Ready Games. We are going to be working with the new Kill Team terrain, the Into the Dark. I have already got a piece of the terrain set up and I have two-toned this. So I have used the rattle can method. I've used a brown, I believe it is an espresso brown, and a Army Builder blue, crystal blue, I believe. And I want to thank Guerrilla War Games because they basically put me onto the idea, and I did borrow that technique. But we're going to take it a few steps further. So we're just going to be working with this one piece here, and I am going to show you what it's going to look like when it's done. So what we're going to do is we're going to be using a few paints. So we're going to use the technical Nihilak Oxide from Citadel. We're going to be using the Dry Riser Rust from Citadel Color. We're going to be using some Typhus Corrosion. We're going to be using, now if we want to, for this demo we're not going to be doing it, but for like the lights and some of the dials, I recommend using like the Contrast Warp Lightning or the Aethermatic Blue or even the Blood Angels Red. But we're also going to be using a gunmetal from the Army Painters War Paints, and we're going to be using rough iron from the Army Painter War Paints. And then we're going to be using some mineral spirits, and we're going to be using a mix of the raw umber and soil green from the oil color Master's Touch, and that's going to be a wash at the end. So we're going to get started. So we're going to start with some sponge techniques to get some kind of corrosion look going on the model. So we're just going to get some of our rough iron, and we're going to get some of our gunmetal. Going to get those ready. What we're going to do is we're going to take our just scrap foam, and I've already got some of that ripped up. We're going to sponge that into the rough iron. We're going to dab that around so we get it all over, and then we are just going to go to town on this model. And we are not going to care where we're doing this. We're going to get some on the edges. We are just going to cover this whole thing like it is chipped paint, like a very old derelict. This thing has been in space for thousands of years. So we're just going to go ahead and get that going. We're going to get that door popped open. We're going to go ahead and do that other side. Get around the frame. A little too much, that's okay. We're going to cover again. I'm trying to do this really quickly. You get the idea. Alright, so once we got that one done, then we're going to go and we're going to get some of our bolt gun metal. We're going to get that in there. Same idea. We're going to come back and we're just going to dab random. Not trying to cover the same spots. We're just trying to get a random texture, some metal flake. This is where paint has been rubbed off. Like I said, it looks like a lot right now, but that's okay because we're going to come back. We're going to hit it with some more details. Get around that door. Alright, that's pretty good. So, again, you can see we just hit that. Looks like a lot of paint chips. Alright, so then, once that's done, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take our, let's do it the Riser Rust, it'll be easier. And again, we're just going to go to town pretty heavily on this. Get some of that paint off our brush. Now we're going to hit the rise on the bottom of the model, because the idea is that the rust has settled kind of more on the bottom as the water has been running down through the ship. So we're going to go really heavy, and trust me, it's not going to show up later that much, because we're going to be having another step which is really going to help bring this out. And then you want to just lightly dry brush some other areas of the model. Alright, you can already see that that's starting to look pretty good. You got that nice orange rust layer there. We've got the paint chipping and the speckling, and that's through the whole thing. We're going to go ahead and do the other side of the door here. I'm not going to do the other side of the model completely right now. We might as well go ahead. Okay, now we have a nice rusty derelict. Again, like I said, it doesn't matter. This is not particular. Just want to make sure we get heavier on the bottom than we do on the top. Then we're going to go ahead and get our oxide. Take our oxide, dab some of that off, and now we're just going to hit the top. Like the water's been running down at the top, and it's been hitting the top of our model, running down into through the ship. Pipes have burst. We just got that oxide. Get the top as well, that runner, because on the other side, you know, that'll be seen. These are going to be capped off, but go ahead and hit this. And again, we're not doing the light details right now. We're not doing cables. I just want to show you this is the basic weathering for the walls technique. Alright. That's it, pretty much. Get a little bit on the walls here. We're going to let that dry, and then I'm going to show you the last step. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to hit this with some typhus corrosion. We want to make sure we really mix this up good. I'm going to use an old brush for this. We're going to come back, and now the typhus corrosion, we are basically just going to be hitting on the base here. So we just want to put some rust, maybe on the bottom of the door, definitely along the bottom. Just get some rust on there. This stuff is awesome. Gives a nice little texture. Again, I'm not searching out details. This is just a tabletop ready. Get it looking good, get it on the table so you can start throwing dice. Alright, so we're going to let that completely dry, and then we're going to wash this. Okay, so you can see that we've got a pretty good layer going on here. Natural light on it, and you can see those layers coming down through. The door still looks pretty good. Alright, so now what we want to do is we want to kind of blend this all together. So what I'm going to do is I've created a wash. Now I've got it's 2 parts of the raw umber, 1 part of the soil green, and probably about 6 parts of mineral spirits. So and I've got that mixed in, and you can see the mineral spirits are there, and I'm going to mix that up pretty good so we get a nice good, you can see, really thin. This is a wash. I don't want to oil cover the model. I don't want to cover up what I've already got done. This is just a wash to bring all of the elements together. And I recommend using gloves for this step. Alright, so we are going to start, and we are just going to wash this whole model. Get this one out of the way. That's the one I want to show you in a minute what it looks like. Alright, so the before, we're just going to start at the top, and we are just going to wash this whole model. I know everyone's freaking out, oh no, but trust me, it's going to look great. This is a derelict that's been sitting for thousands of years, floating through space, all kinds of grime. Nobody's been cleaning, machinery left to run, nobody to tend it. Okay, so then we're going to go ahead and pop that door open. Make sure we get the door frame. We're going to get the other side. That's why we want to wear our gloves, because this is, you see how watery this is. I mean, this is, the mineral spirits will help it dry. Let that oil set in the recesses, but not on the surface. That typhus corrosion's going to come out, look really good. All right. You can let that dab up some of that extra. As this dries, you'll still see that we still have not lost any of our detail work. It just covered everything and blended everything together. Alright, I'm going to show you what it looks like after it's had a chance to do some drying. So here's one that's already had some time to dry. You can see we got the typhus corrosion down here, all of our rust, the different shades coming down. I went ahead and this one I've got like the green panel with the warp lightning green. I did the gauges with the Gallowsdark yellow. You could do the lights in red or yellow, but again, doors got that nice rust around the door. All right, so that took us 5 minutes to do one piece. It's going to take a little longer to dry, and then you're ready to play. All right. Enjoy.